We're in the end game now. The Switch 2 is to be revealed sometime within the next few months, but we still have some Switch 1 related news to look forward to, such as the confirmed Direct that will take place next month. This will likely be the last Direct of the Switch era, so let's predict how they're going to close the Switch's life cycle out. June Directs are basically a yearly tradition, even though E3 is no longer a thing, and speaking of E3, its replacement, Summer Game Fest, is set to begin on June 7th, and even though Nintendo's not participating in Summer Game Fest, as per usual, they'll still likely have to schedule the Direct around this event. The Direct will probably take place within the first 2 weeks of June, whether they want to have a week all to themselves, or want to get the jump on SGF by airing the Direct right before it, remains to be seen. Personally, I decided to base my prediction off of when E3 2024 would have happened, which was set to start on June 11th, and since Nintendo has historically been a much stronger supporter of E3, and by that I mean they actually participate in the event, unlike SGF, I think they'll air the Direct on that week. In terms of a date, Nintendo generally airs Directs on either Wednesdays or Thursdays, and I have a feeling that's going to be that Wednesday, June 12th. With that out of the way, let's talk about the games. To start, let's go over the games we already know about. And by games, I mean game. The only Nintendo game we know about that will not be released by the time this Direct airs is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and even then, that game will only be a couple weeks out from its release date, so I'm not expecting a strong presence from it during the Direct, rather yeah, this game's coming out soon, go buy it. Now we get to enter Speculation Station, where we can froth at the mouth about the mountain of dormant Nintendo IPs that they could bring back, along with some other more present series that are just about due for a game. I'm going to start small with a game that pretty much everyone is 99% sure will be shown at this Direct, which is a new Mario Party game. Just as a small warning, at some point, especially during potential third-party predictions, I will be referring to insider information to try and shape some predictions, but even before this info came out, I was already pretty confident in this prediction. This just made me think it's all but confirmed by Nintendo themselves right now. Recent insider information from the insider Midori, yes, she has Nintendo information now, said that there was a game under development with the codename Banquet, before later telling that it's being developed by ND Cube, along with the developer known as Smileboon. Add on to that the fact that since 9 on Wii, there's been a consistent gap of about 3 years between console Mario Party games, and clearly Nintendo thinks they have something big if they're still expecting to sell about 13.5 million Switches in the transition year, and the Mario Party games on Switch being an example of said well-selling games. This just really makes me think we're getting a Mario Party. Will it be a wholly new game? To be honest, I don't know. I think it's going to be Superstars 2, which would take most of the main games from Superstars 1, but the boards this time would be a best of GameCube Mario Party style game, as I think if they were trying to make something new, they'd save it for the next console, but if there is indeed backwards compatibility, like is heavily rumored, then I guess that point's rendered kind of moot. So honestly, not sure, couldn't tell you for certain. There's still one more Mario spin-off we have to talk about though, Mario Baseball. In a winding down year where we already have 4 Mario games out, would we really get 2 more? Honestly, I think we do. We've already seen 3 Mario Sports games derailed by Nintendo's misunderstanding of why the free update model works for a game like Splatoon. What's one more? Considering that there's precedent of Bandai Namco doing work on this series, and they also have a team that's primarily dedicated to work on Nintendo projects, I think it makes sense that this game is in fact being developed. Now we can talk about some other Nintendo series. First off, I'm going to let my bias cloud my judgment. I'm going to keep saying it until it actually happens. I think we're going to get a Rhythm Heaven game this Direct. I'm starting to think a bit more that might be a new game, rather than a collection of Fever and Megamix, but it's still a reliable fallback on option, and if Nintendo is in fact not confident in the series performing sales-wise, then they could use enhanced ports of these games as safer testing the waters options. Moving on, you know what? I'll start predicting this until it actually happens as well. I think we could get a new Tomodachi game in this Direct. There's been an admittedly smaller, but diehard group of fans begging for Tomodachi Life to either be ported or given a new game in the series on Switch, myself included. I think that certain videos of people playing the game in recent years has also helped to reignite passion for the series, and we'd get the answer to the question, will Nintendo actually keep their word on making same-sex relationships a possibility in a new Tomodachi game? That tangent aside though, I think a game like Tomodachi Life would fit right at home on Switch, and would definitely be able to appeal to a large group of people who didn't play or know of the previous games on handheld. You know, there's still a couple of notable games that are trapped on Wii U that could feasibly be brought to the Switch. Of course, the games I'm talking about are Zelda Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, and Xenoblade X. I think the Zelda ports are pretty likely right now, as it's probably one of the best times for them, as the console generation comes to a close, and the latest big Zelda game is only a year old, so it can be here to hold Zelda fans over for a bit before they're ready to announce the next entry in the series. When it comes to Xenoblade X, I'm 50-50 on it. I think it could definitely happen, I just don't know if either Monolith Soft or Nintendo are interested in doing it at this point. It'd be nice to have the entire series playable on Switch, and X is a cult-beloved game in the fandom, but another part of me feels like the ship for it has already sailed. I can't say for certain, I'm very slightly leaning towards yes though, because it'd be a tragedy for this game to be trapped on Wii U and not really be given a fair chance. To close out new stuff from Nintendo, seeing a couple more revivals of older IPs is a possibility here, and I've picked out a couple I think are fairly likely. Well, except for this one being partly a hope, but I really enjoyed the Another Code remix from earlier this year, and I started seeing some people hoping for a remix from a different game from Sing. Hotel Dusk. To which I say, I welcome it. I've loved seeing some of these lesser known Nintendo IPs get more of a chance to shine throughout the Switch era, such as Another Code, and also Advance Wars, Famicom Detective Club, Brain Age, and more. If only certain Nintendo fans would actually appreciate them. Next is what I think will be my bold prediction for this Direct. For another older IP, I'm going way back for this one. It's been referenced multiple times in Smash, there's even been rumblings in past years that the main character in the series was at one point planned for the series. It's on NSO, and it was one select game that represented a game meant to be like an all-star lineup of Nintendo IPs. The mysterious Murasame Castle. Nintendo is well known by their fans to have super out of left field reveals that absolutely no one sees coming, and this would be another one to add to the list. And in terms of those kinds of series possibilities, I think a significant portion of Nintendo fans are at least familiar with the series, so why not give this one a go by playing a modernized coat of paint on it. To close out first party titles, honestly, I think this is finally the time we see Metroid Prime 4. Not just in our trailer, but we'll see gameplay of it as well. It's been over 5 years since they announced they were restarting development of the game. If they don't show anything here, then the thought of what's going on with it is going to be more concerning than it already was. We could already assume it's no longer being made for Switch, but what if it actually got cancelled and we just don't know yet? Which, to be clear, I don't think that's what's happened. But I think for a lot of people, there's some sentiment that it might be put up or shut up time with actual news regarding this game. The last update we got will be 3 years ago by the time this Direct airs, and that was just a cookie cutter, we're hard at work on it. While I've talked about the games, Nintendo's had a lot of other ventures outside of gaming in recent years, so who's to say that none of those could be highlighted here? After all, the games are just the focus. I'll try to keep this part brief. For one, assuming no complications with it happened, the construction of the Nintendo Museum should have been completed a couple months ago at the time of this upload. So maybe there could be some sort of update on that. Maybe there's also something new with Super Nintendo World that could be announced here. Also maybe some info regarding the Zelda movie or the sequel to the Mario movie. Out of all of those, I only really believe in the first one possibly happening, but I do think these outside of gaming ventures are something to consider for this Direct and Directs going forward. But now to move on to my third party predictions, aka the Sega Speculation Show. I'll be referring to another tweet from Midori in this segment, so if you want to not be spoiled, this is the part of the video where I go over it. There is quite a bit we could see from Sega that will have probably just been revealed at Summer Game Fest. First, for things that I probably don't need a week to tell you, the new Monkey Ball Banana Rumble will release just a couple weeks after my predicted Direct date, so we'll probably see at least pop up in some reel. Sonic X Shadow Generations, look up that title at your own risk, haha, has a good chance of getting a trailer at Summer Game Fest, which I'd guess could very easily just be re-aired for the Direct. That's not unheard of to see. There's also the heap of IPs Sega announced at the Game Awards back in December, which could very well be seen here. Now for the Midori tweet in question that I was referring to earlier. Midori has stated that part of Sega's strategy is to have a game for an IP release on mobile, specifically Apple Arcade, and another game for the same IP console nearby each other, as a means of expanding those IPs. She stated this is a thing for Sonic, Monkey Ball, Like a Dragon, and or Yakuza, and Persona, but there's one other Sega IP that's gone a mobile title this year, but doesn't currently have a console game yet shown off, though it's been confirmed that it's in the works by her. Puyo Puyo. Are there others? Probably, but I'm biased so I'm choosing to use this one as the primary example. For what we might see from Sega at this Direct, I'd guess Generations is almost certainly going to be there in some form, Monkey Ball will probably be a part of a reel, we might see one or two of the classic series seen in the Game Awards trailer, and an announcement of a new Puyo game? Maybe. Wait, you want to hear other third-party predictions? Ubisoft will reveal Just Dance 2025 edition. Square Enix will have a game. There will be an indie game from someone like Annapurna. There will be a farming sim. Some random mobile port no one asked for. Disney might have a game. possibly another trailer for the Epic Mickey remaster, and some other licensed title. Anyways though, that's gonna wrap it up for my direct predictions for June. If this is indeed the last direct of the Switch era, then what an era it's been. Directs in this era resembled the Switch era in general for Nintendo. Rediscovery and renaissance. They'd frankly lost themselves for a bit, especially after Iwa's passing, but they've come back stronger than ever. There's been so many great memories created by these directs, and here's to hopefully many more in the Switch 2 era. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.